uncharacteristically brief. First, want to commend the county executive in initiating a much more transparent county government policy and an openness to dialogue with constituents. But I appeal to all of us in these critical times to think about changing the criteria that we normally use to decide where we make cuts and where we don't make cuts. There are very pressing human needs in our community, our community. We are all neighbors. Let us respond with greater attention to how desperate, or if not desperate, suffering folks are out there. We have the dramatic example of what's happened in New York City and New Jersey. And we all feel that impulse, and I hope we've acted on it, to give to the Red Cross to deal with that. But we've got to muster the energy and the compassion to take another look at what criteria we're using. To reinforce that, I just mentioned three particular spheres of our community that I've had the honor to participate in. Most recently, Cornell Extension. And I served briefly on, over the last 2 or 3 years, on the advisory committee for one of the committees. And it opened up for me how important the Cornell Extension is in what I was emphasizing at the outset. I think a lot of us, particularly those of us who live on the shores of the Hudson rather than out in our beautiful Hudson Valley, don't appreciate how much the Cornell Extension does for basic human needs. One example, I happen to be involved with a summer camp here in one of our city churches. And it was the Cornell Extension that was heavily involved this past summer in providing lunches for many of the kids in that camp and in other camps throughout the county. Secondly, in the sphere of criminal justice, I've had the experience of being on the Criminal Justice Council, and I had the honor of serving with your chairman when I was briefly in the legislature. And I remember, again, to personalize the experience with another agency, I'll remember until my death how we collaborated to get money out of a very tight budget to set up a re-entry, well, actually it wasn't re-entry, a temporary transition housing, really, for a few of our youth who, albeit qualified for the ankle bracelet, couldn't take advantage of that because they didn't meet the other criteria for, you had to have a certain kind of housing and certain kinds of. And so we mustered the votes and the money, and but then, what do we call it? Not in my backyard. The voices of those, not just in the city of Poughkeepsie, but also in the town of Poughkeepsie, where I'm from, who said, oh no, not in my backyard, we don't want this house. I bring that up because that's another dimension of the role of the legislature, it seems to me, and the county executive, in trying to raise their standards and our standards as we set out to evaluate the budget. What kinds of human needs are involved? How pressing are they? But also the nature of the obstacles in the community to meeting those needs. And often it's a matter of education and leadership by our elected officials to educate themselves, but also to educate the fearful public. Finally, I want to mention a more recent personal involvement that more directly involves the city of Poughkeepsie. It concerns Poughkeepsie Plenty, set up by the Poughkeepsie Farm Project. And they formed a coalition and managed to get a major grant from the USDA, Department of Agriculture. And they got professional sociologists to do a survey of hunger needs. Where? In the city of Poughkeepsie, the county seat. The Poughkeepsie Journal editorial last June said the following: the Poughkeepsie Plenty Coalition has been gathering information. What they have discovered is, note the words, dreadful, but unfortunately not too surprising. Hunger. 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 We're not talking about a third world city. The county seat of Dutchess County, the city of Poughkeepsie. More than 1 in 4 households doesn't have regular access and funds to purchase nutritious food. And this is clearly unacceptable. I could go on with the breakdown of statistics, but I won't.
You can, if you want. I mean, we're almost on 9 minutes now, Fred.
I mean,
I'm
sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
I just wanted you to know that. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I noticed the...
But you said you were going to be brief, and I knew that wasn't going to be the case.
Yes, right. Well, I was following the lead of some of my predecessors here, who I think had at least 9 minutes. But I am going to conclude. I'm able to conclude quickly because I came in time to hear what Brian Doyle had to say. That, a long and systematic analysis from a man who's been deeply involved in city affairs politically and now with family partnership. And I want to echo particularly his proposal at the end, that we need a special council that can explore the roots of so many of our palpable, as the journal said, in some cases, dreadful human needs situations. And so we need a council analogous to the Criminal Justice Council to focus on how we can deal comprehensively and systematically, cooperatively, nonprofits, government agencies, and the school system to deal with those problems. To me, that is the challenge facing the county government. Whether we raise the taxes by 2% or 3% or 4% is only part of the issue. The heart of the issue is, can we rise to the standard of showing greater humanity and compassion for palpable human need right here, right around us in this city and in pockets throughout our county. Thank you very much.
Okay, we don't